There's a practitioner out there called Sarah Adams. You might have seen her on the Gaia channels. She used to be the girlfriend of the super soldier named Max Spears. Now, that is a heretic woman that has performed sex magic, I can tell you, extorts people, and is a ruthless. And this is what you find out more often than not in the people in the so-called spirituality movement. They're quite the opposite of what they portray. If you know what I'm talking about, it is beyond obvious, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this creature looks like a demonic Barbie doll. Pure evil. Pure evil she is. And she performed a black magic on a whole plethora of people, and I got her number so bad, and she better watch what she does to me, because I'm more powerful than any voodoo doll, I'll tell you that.
More things have happened on a spiritual level for me, and also physical level, to be connected.
Looks like a demonic Barbie doll.
And also it allows us to do things like astral travel, astral projection, things like that. Astral travel, astral projection, things like that. To be connected allows me astral travel, astral projection, things like that.
It is a late night. Late night, isn't that the case here tonight? Welcome everybody to Real Deal Media's Late Night Update. I am Dean Ryan, and what a late night it is, as this is the weekend edition, as the world is turning and spurring into a huge sea change, as we are now witnessing all over the world. You're going to be seeing more type of shows like this from Real Deal Media as we get closer to November, because every day and pretty much every week in every news cycle is so vital. So it's spur of the moment, and we're reaching just a whole host of different time zones around the world. But tonight we have some incredible stories, as we're going to be kind of looking in depth to a degree of what's now taking place in the UK. As we reported to you just days ago, what might have seemed as just a small little riot has now turned into a melee throughout the north of England. We're going to be dialing it back and looking into who's behind it, why, who, what, where, when, why, and how come, the whole kit and caboodle, because it's very key to the revival of the nation state of the West, of the United States, for that fact. So we're going to be getting into that. Plus, not to mention, last but not least, or not even last, but yeah, it's also true now, we can announce the official running mate of a soon-to-be corpse, if not already, of Kamala Harris. We'll be getting into the real deal politics of who is this running mate and just how viable of a candidate are they just propping up this brainless puppet and why. So we'll be talking about that and who's in the bag of Kamala. Well, the PMSNBC says, no, we are, pick us. So we'll be looking at it, just some unusual clips as as well, this is what they're calling it, the threat to democracy and every single individual in the United States, as PMSNBC is announcing it and describing Trump once again. So the old playbook as the threat among threats, plus some Elon Musk news and some huge news regarding New Zealand. And we better pay attention because when this pandemic all started, it started with a New Zealand internment camps. Well, they seem to be going for broke now, whoever's running that country, and we better pay attention because it's coming here next. So we have a lot to get to, plus a whole lot more here on Late Night Update. Okay, so let's get started here as tonight we are broadcasting. Believe it or not, we're broadcasting live on The Real Dean Ryan over there at the travel page. Yes, we are on Facebook. And Real Deal Media tonight, as well as Brighteon, and also Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube at the most infamous one, Dean Ryan TV. Okay, let's get started now. Well, yes, it's very sad to report, but it's well, we have to. Somebody has to. England is now experiencing major riots once again, and over the stabbing of 3 innocent young children and the stabbing of other adults and other children who were nearby just days ago. Who did it or why? We'll tell you after you look at this little montage of what's happening in the UK right now, because it's coming to the United States next.
Fuck off! Get them, lads! Get the fuckers! Smash that shit up! Get that shit on, lads! Get fucked off, man!
Has been turning into a civil war. It's also worth noting, too, that Antifa, if you can believe it, Antifa has been bussed to certain specific places, cities, cross streets throughout the north of England, which then tells you this is a state-sponsored riot. These are state-sponsored, state-induced so-called race wars. Oh yes, now civil unrest in the United Kingdom has now sparked widespread riots, more than 80 arrests now following the mass stabbings, multiple. They're only really kind of reporting on one. But let me continue, if I may. Well, now the so-called extremist protests following mass stabbing at the Children's Party in Southport, England, near Liverpool, have spiraled into the chaos of more than 80 arrests in more than 20 cities in concert, now experiencing mass brawls, violent protests, as they just rage and wreak havoc across the United Kingdom as the anti-immigrant protests have caused disturbances in more than 20 cities. This is very key. So people are protesting migrants and the floodgate that's been open for decades now, at least 20 years from my recollection, but they're blaming the people who are protesting the injustice throughout the United Kingdom. See, the same applies in all these other countries. It just really is death-defying, isn't it? Well, an unspecified number of UK police officers were also injured over the weekend as riots have now spread throughout the country, despite the government warnings against violence, because I'm sure people listen to the government. At least they did with the Miracle Jams. Well, the demonstrations were kicked off as a 17-year-old from Cardiff, Wales, a Rwandan origin, was charged with murdering 3 girls in Southport that we shared with you several nights ago on World at War, right here at Real Deal Media. Well, the teenager was initially falsely identified as a Syrian immigrant, which I showed another picture of that, but it's not him, they're saying. I'm going to show you who it is. Well, the teenager was initially falsely identified as Syrian immigrant, which fueled anti-immigrant fever and led to the English Defense League to take to the streets, which I'm sure they're totally not infiltrated and totally organic. While demonstrations in London have mostly been peaceful, while riots have now broken out in other cities like Manchester, Southport, Liverpool, and many locations bricks have been thrown, buildings have been burned, physical confrontations have led to more than 80 arrests nationwide, as we shared with you. 20 arrests were made in Lancashire, another 20 in Humberside, and 14 in Avon, Somerset, and on and on. The unrest has further fueled clashes now between protesters and counter-protesters amid chants of pedo Muslims off our streets, unquote, and, quote, Nazi scum off our streets. The British Secretary Yvette Cooper has warned anyone involved in unacceptable disorder would be held accountable and probably would be hit with a little bobby stick right on their hand until they learn their lesson. So if you put it all in context, the new Prime Minister of England, who has been outed as a spy for the KGB in his younger year, also has been outed as the district attorney of sorts over there in the UK, who has yet to deport, prosecute any major violent escalations by illegal immigrants in the UK. So he wants this. This is what they want. This is their form of color revolution, Kalergi plan. Well, the entire GDP of UK is getting and preparing for a greater war, as their defense secretary shared with the world just months ago. So what a better distraction than to have the peanut gallery get involved with their COINTELPRO, who is escalating violence. And that's how that one goes. Very disturbing and gives me heartburn. That's all I can share. Well, now, as we kind of scooch over to the real deal politics, because we have our own hooligans, we have our own demons to worry about. And some of them call themselves Kamala Harris. Well, speaking of the witch and the cackling hyena from hell, well, now many people are now criticizing a new running mate for Kamala Harris, which I'm still not convinced that she's going to be the nominee of the DNC, because she's weak and we don't even know who this running mate is. But maybe there's someone else in the wings, or I said maybe they have a different plan in the event Trump takes the executive back. Well, check this out now. So yeah, people are criticizing the new pick, as his name, which is, I've never heard, I mean, it's pretty generic, is Joe Shapiro. That's right. It may be another story of just an unknown, once again, for the electoral process, as we just skip our way to the election, in the presidential election, that is. Well, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and remember that state, Pennsylvania. This is going to come back into play, and I'm going to share with you why. Well, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Mark Kelly has emerged as among the possible finalists. Both have faced criticism. So it's one of those two. They're going to flip a deep state coin to figure out who it's going to be. My guess would be Josh Shapiro, which I'll share with you after. Well, both have faced criticism from some organizations and activists to state, who might otherwise be supportive of Democratic issues, but potentially undermining the party's newfound unity barely 2 weeks after Kamala Harris entered the race. Yes, first time she's been entering anything. Well, in this case, the vice president's team says she is interviewing 6 possible choices over the weekend before an announcement expected this coming Monday. Now, the next day, she and her running mate will appear together at a rally in Philadelphia, then visit 6 more swing states with many swingers there. Well, in addition to Shapiro and Kelly, Harris is considering Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who's just a lovely, lovely communist, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's just a total criminal, as well as Governor Andy Bashar of Kentucky and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Now, Waltz, in case you were wondering, changed his weekend travel plans, which he never really had any, and said he's available at any given time for president-elect, in his words. Well, it is very, very worrisome, very worrisome. But Trump is now agreeing to debate Kamala Harris, which is a real hoot, if you ask me. A real hoot. But before he does, we have to beg the question, why Pennsylvania? Well, look at this. I'm going to show you something because this all makes sense now. We talk about migrants. We talk about problems. Well, look at this right here. An illegal immigrant from Venezuela left her receipt at a grocery store recently. So the cashier took a photo. Now, get this. EBT food stamps for this one particular individual went to a whopping $13,401.82. And the EBT cash balance left on that 13 grand was $4,498.85. Yet millions of Americans can't afford groceries, gas, and rent, and they can. Why is there so much preference in treatment that is much better than Americans? Well, there's something going on with Pennsylvania. You would think Pennsylvania is a so-called conservative because of the Amish, of the farmers, of the just original old-style Democrats of yesteryear. Well, maybe there's something else going on here because now migrants are just richer than Americans, but also they've been voting for a long time, especially in Pennsylvania. This is why they're going to pick Josh Shapiro, or are they? Check this out and we'll speak after.
Saying they were concerned about cheating in 2020 to now our biggest number, 66% of people are now at least somewhat concerned that cheating will affect the outcome of the 2024 election.
This dude got his freaking work permit and social security card, came here illegally, got documented, got on the buses from Texas to Chicago, and now within 4 months this guy's got his social security card, he's got his workers identification card for working. He's got a driver's license. He's got insurance. He just bought a car, all in 4 months, and it has an efficiency apartment that he pays $500 a month for.
Pennsylvania was registering non-citizens for 20 years, and they admit it. This is not subject to debate.
And so then sticking with the topic of non-citizen voting, isn't it true that this November, non-citizens that reside in D.C. for simply 30 days can vote in D.C. municipal elections?
That's correct.
And D.C. also mails every registered voter a ballot, correct?
Correct.
And so you're telling me that in Washington, D.C., if there is even a small clerical mistake, non-citizens could be mailed a ballot with federal races on them?
That's correct. We found several other things using open source data. There is a gentleman named Eric Lutzen, and he has matched up a list. He started looking at voters above the age of 80 that were registered for voting and did vote on in Michigan. And 17,327 Michigan voters also had a corresponding obituary.
They were on the voter rolls with the birth date of 1850. There were 232 people registered to vote with an address to our local prisons. There were 4,144 people that were 90 years old and older. There were 125 people registered to vote or on the voter rolls that were registered to, or their address comes back to nonprofit, NGOs, and different businesses.
Do we see how this works here? They're getting ready to do the big steal once again, and just like they did, they have been using immigrants to vote in our elections for God knows how long. Never mind the dead people voting from the grave. You know, your great grandpa from the Civil War. No, they're using every Tom, Dick, and Harry that is just managing to get through the very easy to just grind through borders, north and south of the United States. And let's not even forget the embedded sleeper cells that have been activated. And furthermore, there's more who are ready to be activated very soon, the closer we get to November. And it doesn't really just fall on deaf ears about the new plague, the new pandemic 3.0 that they're trying to usher in right before November. that many have said, well, it might be the disease X, which we're still waiting for. And there's the the micro tech companies throughout California that are ready to create it. They create it here, then they transfer it to China to get their grubby fingerprints on it. So yes, she's going to pick Shapiro, and he is a just hardened cheater over there in Pennsylvania. Need I say more? Well, as I'm saying this to you, now Trump is now going on the attack, the offense, as he says he will debate the cackling hyena. Yes, Kamala Harris. Now Trump rages if he doesn't see Kamala Harris in Fox debate, he won't see her at all. This is what he's saying. Well, Donald Trump claimed just recently that VP Kamala Harris does not agree to Fox News debate, then he will not debate her. After posting that he would not participate in a scheduled ABC News debate and saying he's agreed to a Fox News one instead, Trump was slammed by the Harris campaign and others on the Democratic side of the aisle with accusations he's, quote, afraid to face Harris, or even further, worse, quote, a coward. Well, it's always fun to hear a drunk barfly from the hell bar of Lucifer to really say these things. This woman has never seen a debate in her life. She's willing to do the bidding of the deep state. And on this new post, Trump also attacked Harris over a variety of alleged policies, including her, quote, years-long fight to stop the words, Merry Christmas. Yeah, I guess she says Yuletide. Yuletide. Well, initially, Trump was scheduled to debate Harris, as we said, but that's not going to happen. Instead, he would like to do a September 4th debate over there at Fox News. Now, the GOP nominee said in his Saturday rant that he would not debate this plastic face woman in Shapiro for that fact. The ABC News debate was originally scheduled, and he won't do it anymore. Now, the people who love the PR firm behind the DNC are now using the old playbook to defend a corpse, another one, of Kamala Harris, but to really stroke the flames of a race war that we're now seeing in the UK. Check this out as PMSNBC from the urine-soaked lamestream media is on the offense, and they're using the old playbooks of yesteryear. Here it is.
She made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be, I mean, Congresswoman, you turn black. I mean, it's offensive. And I guess the question for you I have is this. Look, Trump ran also on the Obama birther conspiracy. Some people running with that when it came to wanting to ascribe to that type of racist concepts as well. Does this work, though? I mean, it's red meat for the base for the Republican Party. But when he does something like this, how does this not totally alienate not only minorities, not just blacks, by the way, let's be clear, minorities as well as women?
Well, it's deeply offensive, but predictable. It's a play from a tired handbook, but they're desperate. But, you know, look, Kamala Harris has been a woman of color her entire life. These trafficking and racist tropes and sexist tropes and misogynoir, that is no new experience for her. And so we're just going to keep doing what we need to do to build this broad and diverse coalition to ensure that we are successful in November. Donald Trump, you know, look, he, just like Kamala's always been a woman of color, he's always been a bigot and a racist, discriminating against black tenants as a landlord, calling for the death penalty for the Central Park Five, and I could go on.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
Kamala, you ignorant bitch. Wonderful. So, but that just shows you the cat is out of the bag. The PR firm called PMSNBC is ready to go on a full frontal attack. They're ready to use the racial tools of the communist manifestos, the rules for radicals, as we have shared with people over time, of what those consist of, and it never seems to end. Now, here's some other things to note. After the break here that's coming up, I'm going to be scouring the live chats because there's so much news breaking out now. But let me show you this. If I can even, we have also, in coordinates to it all, we have now the judge who's now going to continue the prosecution, if you can believe it, of the day after January 5th, the worst day in human history, right up there with last Thursday when I got a paper cut. It is just a real travesty. Well, here's one of the things that was sent out. This is Secretary of Defense now. The memorandum for Susan Eskiler, being authority for military commissions. I've determined that in significance of the decision to enter a pretrial agreements with the accused above case, responsibility such a decision, yada, yada, yada. So they're still continuing and going forward. Well, I think that was something else. But they're going forward with the prosecution of trying to pin the day after January 5th on Donald Trump. Can you believe it? And it just makes no sense other than they can't win. But what are they worried about? Well, there's a few things that people would say that they're worried about. Well, one of them would be the fact that there's new commissions that are already being appointed in the Trump administration that's not official yet. In fact, Elon Musk is one of these commission leaders who's going to be part of the Government Ethics Commission. I believe that's the working title they have thus far. Well, here it is. Check this out. But there's also a bigger commission I'm going to tell you about after this. Check this out.
I have discussed with Trump the idea of a government efficiency commission.
Nice. Yeah.
And I would be willing to be part of that commission.
I wonder how hard that is.
The antibody reaction would be very strong.
Yes. Yeah.
So you really have to, you're attacking the Matrix at that point. The Matrix will fight back.
Trying to pull an assassination attempt on Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, anyone of any prominence, significance going into this election, which is the most important election of our lifetime, many have said and stated. Anyways, we have a small break coming up here, but when we get back, I really want to show you the commission that I believe is the wrecking ball that's going to take down the house of cards for Big Pharma. Because a lot of people are saying, what is this new plague going to look like? What's this going to involve? Well, I'm here to say it's going to involve artificial intelligence, and they're going to go after the diabetics. Insulin shortages, noticed? Or little different formulas in your regular medications. So we got to figure out right now of how we're going to get off the evil teat of the Big Pharma, who are playing all different sides, from the weight loss drugs to everyone has diabetes now all of a sudden, which probably stems from a miracle jab of like 100 years ago, whatever the case. They're going for it now. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about that in the new commission. Plus, I want to get back into what's happening in the UK. I want to show you who they are saying is the assailant of the 3 dead children, which we have yet to see any kind of video from, but I'm just asking. So stand by. This is Late Night Update, Extreme Late Night Update, Weekend Edition. We'll be back after this quick break. remember like going into the 90s? Like there's some movies that I would recommend you leave in the past. The movies with cops. So you had one cop who was playing by the rules, ready for retirement. The other one who was rogue. Took the badge. Maverick. He's a maverick. He don't play by the rules. He's dangerous. You know? He hangs on to 18-wheelers going, 90 miles per hour by the side and takes a fleet of army down, a whole fleet. Just talking about it, I get blurry. That's how bad it gets. No, there's no rules. Once you take the badge off, anything goes. It's full on too when the good cop who played by the rules his whole career goes,
all right, I'm taking my badge off too for this one time.
And you think about those films we grew up on is the cop movies, lawyer TV shows, the hospital shows. You would think that the only jobs in America are cops, lawyers, and some gig at the hospital. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. Yes, we are. We are back. I am still Dean Ryan. I'm still Dean Ryan, who is cruising with you to extreme late nights and early mornings, depending where you are in this world. It is good to be back here. Late Night Update Weekend Edition, one of our most premier original series here. It's been a long time. Yeah, it was one of those first shows I did many moons ago. Anyways, we have a lot to get to tonight still, and we have so many people who are commenting all over the world. We have a lot of people from the UK who pretty much catch every show, and we try to deliver of to you what's happening in your own country, because it is some strange, dire times in the UK. And I've often asked myself, how in the world does the United Kingdom, which is a very small place, how do they recover from the monstrosity of this corporate communism that was placed onto them, where they have they're just erasing the history and the makeup of the DNA of everybody that has lived in England, has been born there, born and bred, and they're trying to make it a just war zone. Well, it all started, if you recall, just when 3 young girls were stabbed, sadly, and we thought, well, this is like the job of somebody who is a military, just aged man. Well, I guess again. Well, it's now they're saying it is this kid right here, which I just find unbelievable. So this little kid who's supposed to be 17 years old, stabbed 3 girls. We're supposed to believe that. Well, there's a little problem. I mean, he seems to have just different characteristics in the drawing here for the Doonesbury Court reporter. So something's weird about this, and it's very Newtown, Connecticut. It smells something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's very state-sponsored, very, very state-sponsored. And we know that the fact that Antifa is getting rolled out to all these different places, yeah, you better believe this is exactly what the UK wants, to rid any chance of a revival of Brexit and the nation state, to kick out the EU once and for all. Once and for all. So I wanted to share that with you. Also, many people have asked, well, what happened to Joe Biden? Well, my first response is, well, he's dead. And then my second response, which one are you talking about? Is it this one?
Look how straight he's walking.
He doesn't even look like him.
Look how tall he is above his wife. I mean, he's walking perfectly straight. He's not bent over like an old man.
Is this the Joe Biden you're looking for, the Wilt Chamberlain version of it? Or is it the awkward Joe Biden, who is still actively president, we think, although he's dead? They put another goon in, and another wannabe thespian. Or is it this one?
This is just extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
This is what a slurry speech woman there, we think. And did you see the masked bandit there? So, you know, they're going to have to kill him to reprint all the ballots before November, or just start another war. Because you know why? They're going to probably try to start another war, but there's something, a commission that they don't want to happen. And that's the commission to look in the depths of what is going on with the autism in this country, what is going on with all the elements of the miracle jabs in this country, the sterilement, and also the miscarriages, on and on. Well, we know they're caused by something that goes way beyond environment, way beyond just food, and it's the miracle jabs. Well, this is what I believe. Not only the Federal Reserve getting just audited and just given a proctoral exam. Well, check this out, as now Trump is making the announcement of what exactly he's going to do.
In recent decades, there has been an unexplained and alarming growth in the prevalence of chronic illnesses and health problems, especially in children. We've seen a stunning rise in autism, autoimmune disorders, obesity, infertility, serious allergies, and respiratory challenges. It's time to ask, what is going on? Is it the food that they eat, the environment that we live in, the overprescription of certain medications? Is it the toxins and chemicals that are present in our homes? Every year we spend hundreds of billions of dollars to treat these chronic problems rather than looking at what is causing them in the first place. Too often our public health establishment is too close to big pharma. They make a lot of money, big pharma, big corporations and other special interests, and does not want to ask the tough questions about what is happening to our children's health. If big pharma defrauds American patients and taxpayers or puts profits above people, they must be investigated and held accountable. When I'm back in the White House, I will establish a special presidential commission of independent minds who are not bought and paid for by big pharma, and I will charge them with investigating what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic illnesses. I understand big pharma, I believe, better than anybody else. I know where they're coming from. And then I will ask them to publish recommendations for how every American child can have a safe and healthy childhood. This is a conversation that is long overdue, and it's a conversation that American families deserve. American families must have this conversation, and they must have a leader, a president, who can do something about this problem. And I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's some real dangerous stuff there. Some real dangerous stuff there, real dangerous talk. That is, you can imagine, you know, it's not crazy to think that there's a bunch of doubles of Donald Trump walking around. Was it a double who took the shearing of a bullet just weeks ago? Are we looking at the true Donald Trump? Would he be as foolish to continue a very fair and open public meeting in rallies? Yes, it would be very foolish, as there's many assassination attempts that are underway as we speak. It's a real thing. And I can tell you it's very legitimate and very daunting task, to say the least. You know, just daunting. Anyways, speaking of war, well, there's now an escalation of war. And yes, you guessed it, Israel's behind it. Can I say that? Well, we know the assassination of a high-level guard, high-level commander over there in Iran, as the just kind of, I guess, the trek to get in a war with Iran is still underway by Israel, to then get out of prosecution by the Netanyahu cabinet and himself, for that fact. I mean, to the point where now they even said, and retracted it, that the FBI said that, well, Iran was behind the assassination. Anybody? Oh, no buyers? Well, we didn't say that. Then you had Netanyahu, who gave his speech right here in the United States just days ago, saying we'd be cowards if we didn't obliterate Iran if they tried or succeeded in an assassination attempt on Trump. What does he know? Was he the third shooter? Was he part of this? Because my guess and my just knowledge would say yes. In fact, hell yes. Well, now there's a new war underway as now the precedent in the acceleration to fight Iran by Israel certainly is now being, well, it's being done as the government and the IDF forces have now ordered that all air, land, sea troops be ready for battle immediately. Now, nearly $3 trillion has now been eliminated from major stocks this morning due to escalating fears of global recessions due to war. Since many GDPs are now being donated and regulated for this very moment. In addition to that, Iran has vowed retaliation, which means that the Israeli Iron Dome is being attacked like never before, and it's not going to sustain, we think. Here it is. Well, there you have the Iranian onslaught to get the missiles depleted from the ammunition banks of the Israeli Defense Forces. Once again, we're going to get us into another war perpetuated by Netanyahu. Unbelievable. Well, sticking with the unbelievable camp and theme here tonight, well, that brings me to New Zealand, a country that I first looked at in March of 2020, when it was brought to my attention that the internment camps provided by the World Economic Forum's just favorite henchman at that time, Jacinda, the former prime minister and current talking horse of New Zealand. Well, get this now. New Zealand is going to be facing mandatory miracle jabs. Yes, indeed. The World Economic Forum has now openly announced plans for quarantines and forced miracle jab injections. Oh, this is real. I'm going to show you now. Now there's a PDF that I can share, and it's called New Zealand's Pandemic Plan. You cannot make this up. This is pretty wild here. Check this out, as they want to make sure you know how you're going to die, as they just try to char you by saving you. Here it is. Let me looky-loo here. New Zealand Pandemic Plan, a framework for action. In the interim update, please pay attention, for our menu has changed. Don't we miss that? Continuing. So the acknowledgements that the Ministry of Health would particularly like to acknowledge the healthcare workers, and we want to save them by killing them. So I can translate this for you as we go, because it's very, very complicated stuff, and I have been trained thoroughly. So this is what they're going to be doing by the Ministry of Health, which is the Ministry of Death, really. The Coronapaloozas, the miracle influenzas that's no longer retired. So look at this. Coronaviruses are zoonotic, meaning they are transmitted between animals and people. So this is what they're going for now. The zoonotic. The Coronapalooza is back with zoonotic, like Zoo TV from U2. Common signs of infection include respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, or extreme amounts of globalism. That's how we translate it. Severe cases. So they're really going for kidney failure and death. Now, the influenza is contagious. Yes, we know. Thanks. And they're always going after New Zealand because it's low population, and they're filled with natives of the Maori kind, and they always want to kill the natives and the indigenous. So this should tell you. And they're going to do it, and you know they signed on with the WHO to give them full permission to come in their countries, just like Australia, and have your way, not with just our women, have the children too, and anything else you like. But don't hurt us. We're just the prime ministers in name only. Isn't this disgusting? And I wish they would come to my door, because I love meeting and greeting the World Health Organization officials. Don't you? Don't you want to just bake them a pie with your fist in it? I mean, so continuing, you can, I'll put this in the comments if you want to read it on your own time. So in case you run out of birdcage liner. So they're going to rehash the H5N1. So this is to translate, this is the bird flu. This is what they're going to do. And it's said to be more deadly than anything. And from what a lot of people have said, I should say a minute amount of people have said, that the way they're going to do this is through artificial intelligence, AI, and that's going to really incorporate big pharma. And what better way to do it than to put it in the existing batches of insulin, which there's been an insulin shortage in the United States and the UK for the greater part of a year now. And then they just create a new insulin, and then that one's a little more harsh, but this could have the certain chemicals in the batches needed to say, oh, look, they have the zoonotic coronapalooza now. Well, sorry, we're just going to have to just go to your house, mandate an injection, or we chop your head off with an axe, because we're the World Health Organization with your health minister, aka death minister. What say you out there? I'm trying to regain my wits. What does everybody think, feel? How do you feel out there? What are your feelings like? How's your emotions? We have Susan Stevens. Thank you for being here at this late night. She says, Dean, you must get with Mike Adams over the audio of Butler, PA. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Susan. Shots analyzation, thinking 9-10 shots, a video I heard last night. Well, I spoke to Mike about that, Susan, and he was pretty convinced, as I was before I heard any of the audio, which I probably can play for you, that the so-called lone gunman didn't shoot anything, or if he did, they were blanks, and shots came elsewhere. And what they were really trying to achieve there, just so we're clear on this, they had people in position with cameras who were going to film the kill shot, just like they did Kennedy, who I believe was shot by the driver in a air gun. So says William Cooper. So they're going to go for it now. But yeah, I need to get Mike back on, and just in general, thank you for reminding me of that, Susan. Here we have Liz Marchant, who's actually in Australia, so she would know. What'd she say now? She says the following, quote, more parents are questioning the safety and necessity of child immunizations. More and more illegal immigrants are most likely coming in with no or very little basic immunization, putting us at more risk. Eliminated diseases to become a risk again. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And to top it off, as we shared with you earlier, they're getting $13,000 EBT cards. If you missed that, here it is again. Read it and weep, and then get angry, and then come back to me. Yeah, we're living in a backwards world. In fact, if you've been just accidentally watching the Olympics, you might have seen the boxer everybody's talking about, this woman boxer that's really a man, just beat the living S out of a female boxer. Well, Macron heard about this. He got really excited, and well, here's what he did. He greeted the Algerian, quote, woman's boxer, Iman Khalif, many, many moons ago. And they probably had a spiritual meeting before the fight and certainly after. Look at the giddiness in Napoleon 2.0. It's so disgusting. Can you believe this? Well, we're going to send one of our fighters too. You've seen this meme, I'm sure. Only one woman can stop this fella now. Late entry. Karen Tyson, representing the United States in Thursday Olympics. Well, you have to. In fact, Mike Tyson has already agreed to fight that person, just to put it lightly. Thank you for that. Okay, here's another one we have. We have Russia. I saw this. We have Rosemary Mack. Thank you, Rosemary. Rosemary says, Russia delivering weapons to Iran. Yes, I wanted to put that in there. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I bet China is too. And then there's something happening in Africa I'm not allowed to hear about just yet. We also have Doc. Thank you for being here. Doc, saying the following. Israel is preparing to get its ass kicked. Well, I don't know if they are or if they're just so arrogant, like the Iraqi defense minister in the lead up to the Iraqi freedom war, where they're just so arrogant. They have no clue. Now, the ones who do have a clue are the ones who are protesting not just the war and the invasion and genocide, the Israelis who live over there, and I feel bad for them. They're getting treated horrible. Their rights are suspended. They're being thrown into prison. They're being beat over the head. So much so, some of these Israelis who are protesting are saying, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel like the Palestinians. What's going on here? Don't you know who I am? Hammer Time says, axis of evil. Yes, yes, indeed. We have Angelina Wolf, who said 100,000 Israelis are leaving last night waiting for flights. Then most airlines cancel flights. Thank you for reminding me, Angelina, that flights going in and out of Israel have been canceled and stopped as of the past 48 hours. I did hear about that. It's hard to keep up. Thank you for reminding me of that matter. Okay, here's some more. We have Robin. Robin says, she sounds like she's on drugs to me with her many word salads, slightly slurred speech at times. Well, she's saying, well, if George W. Bush can do it, why can't I? Why can't I be a partying president? Because I'm not, she's not running things. We know the security state, the forever state, the CIA is running the Oval Office along with just dual citizens. I'm not sure the CCP yet have managed to get a stranglehold in their footing into the club Oval Office there. Good point. Good point. Okay, we have more people. If you want to call in too, you want to give your opinion on boxing. Would you want to box that manly woman? How do you think this is going to end? What say you? What's Israel's problem? Why does Ben Shapiro look evil on camera and off? I mean, whatever comes. So join the convo. And I have a feeling I'll be here tomorrow night and do another late night, daunting late night update, because it's just so much is happening. I can't even keep up. And I'll be traveling around soon, security reasons, and feel free to join the convo. And yes, very good. And we have Linda Winger saying the following, that yes, it's certainly challenging to keep up with everything. I'm telling you, I can't do it, Linda. I need your help. I need your help, and I need a value, I think. And finally, this one? Yes, please, Dean. Yes, thank you. And finally, Dog says Shapiro looks like the son of the devil. Yes, he does. You could not have written a better one. Could not have written a better one. And Liz Marchant, I have to. He wasn't allowed to participate in women's boxing a couple of years ago because of his XY sex test. Why the change in decision? Because they're trying to show the world there's a satanic component to it all. I'm not sure which one of the deities from the underground is both sexes. I don't know if it's Baphomet or his cousin, but that's what it represents here. Not to mention the mockery of the Last Supper. Yeah, the mockery. Yeah, and Cheryl Burnett, Putin's submarine is now in the Black Sea. Well, we've had Russian submarines up and down the coasts of Tacoma, Washington, of California for ages now. I'm just not convinced he is a adversary of the United States, but rather a soon-to-be sister country. Okay, so that's how that one goes. We're going to end it there. I'm going to be back tomorrow night, I believe, very late, that is. And I just want to just remind people who are in England, please, if you are in some trouble and you need to get some messages across, feel free to email us at info@realdealmedia.tv. You need to get a word out, or maybe you have some footage you want out there, or you need to connect with friends or family. Feel free to email us at info@realdealmedia.tv. We want to make sure that you are safe and sound, as we do care about our effective audience around the world. We're all in this, sadly, and I hate this phrase, put together. And also feel free to find me on X over there at twitter.com, The Real Dean Ryan, and our wonderful redacted, censored Facebook pages, if you care to. We're at Real Deal Media Tonight, as well as The Real Dean Ryan, because the other one is a rugby coach. Yes, it is. Okay. So we're going to end it there. I want to thank everybody who has who's stayed up this late for the late night update because so many things are happening that, to quote Jesse Ventura, we ain't got time to bleed, and don't start the revolution without me. So I just love that phrase. Until tomorrow night or the night after, but I will be back. And until then, Steen Ryan signing out saying, always remember, stay tuned and stay awake. Good night, everybody.